My name is Jack Jensen. My wife and I are workers up here full-time. We're the Townsite directors here. We work with a lot of other wonderful folks here who volunteer their time and effort to help restore and tell the stories of Chesterfield. Chesterfield was founded by a fellow by the name of Chester Call. He had purchased 300 head of horses, and he was looking for a place to pasture those. So he came up around Wyoming, Idaho territory, and they says, you need to come up to the upper Portneuf Valley. That has just opened for homesteading in 1880. So he brought his horses up, and he filed on a homestead here and saw the beautiful tall grass, and by golly, he liked it. And Chester continued to develop the community through the help of those who came up. They built a church, they built a school. They had 3 stores operating in Chesterfield at one time by 1900. It was quite a thriving community, over 500 people in the area. A lot of people who came up were gifted and talented in many areas. There were builders, there were brick makers, there were teachers who came who taught school. There were those who were gifted in medical services. They had many important skills that helped develop the community. They came to a very remote area, and when they were up here, they were virtually on their own. They had to rely on their own skills, they had to rely on the things that were around them to make this a successful community. And they intended to do that. And they loved Chesterfield, the people who came here and struggled. Chesterfield's about 5,400 feet elevation, and short summers, long winters, and cold nights in the wintertime. They all struggled when they came up. My great-grandfather talks about how they tried to keep their cattle alive with the deep snow in the winters, and sometimes they were successful, sometimes they weren't. They just could not get the feed to the cows in the wintertime, and a lot of them would perish. Judson Tolman and Nathan Barlow, his son-in-law, were in business together. They ran a store up here. They purchased about 3,000 head of sheep in the summer of 1907. That winter, the temperature dropped down to about 58 below zero, and that wiped them out, froze the herd. And they had to fold up their business and move. And that was the beginning of the migration out of Chesterfield. Gradually, with the weather, and then the flu epidemic of 1918, First World War, and Second World War, of course the Depression came, and that's when a lot of people left. They just couldn't make a living up here. It wasn't just a matter of a day or two saying, well, I guess we'll leave. No, it took many, many cold winters. It took many struggles of different degrees to finally force the families out of Chesterfield. By 1950-55, the old church that was built in 1892 was vacant. The old store up here, the Mercantile, it was abandoned in about 1956. By that time, it was virtually a ghost town. Buildings continued to deteriorate, the old brick structures and the log cabins. My folks would bring us up many times as youth and show us these old towns. And they would, every time we'd come, it'd be a little more deterioration in the old log structures. And my folks, particularly, who were both raised here, they loved the area, and they bestowed that love into us children. By 1980, the families of the settlers realized that we could not let this old town die. Chesterfield had to be tended to and restored. So 1980, the families got together and we started coming back and restoring the old buildings. The Chesterfield Foundation was formed, a nonprofit corporation for the purpose of restoring the stories and the buildings and the history of Chesterfield. The old 3 stores are still here, the church is here, the homes were here. There are 25 structures, and over the last 30 years we have restored about 20 of those 25 structures. We consider Chesterfield a very special place, and that's one reason that we as family members wanted to help in the restoration, because we feel that there's something very special about Chesterfield. And those who come oftentimes comment about that they feel something here too. And we call it the spirit of Chesterfield. The stories are not going to die. The buildings are not going to die. They are going to continue to be restored and maintained. And the story will live on of Chesterfield and those people that were here. No matter when you come in the distant future, the environment will not change. Chesterfield will still be the same as it was when it was built originally.